Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Andre Searles. I'm the CEO and founder of EDGE Geospatial and the CEO of Urban GIS. It's a pleasure to be with you. This time we decided to record everything so that in case we had any issues, we have a big crowd today. We're really excited that you're here to join us. We have a lot of new people coming to EDGE, so please check out our website, edgegeospatial.com, for more information about EDGE. We'd love for you all to participate, become members of EDGE, and learn how you can do your part in supporting this movement and being a beneficiary of this movement. And today, we are really focusing on students and job seekers and those who just want to learn how to be better positioned in this market, in this industry. We know that there's a little bit of a transition economically, and so being in the best place possible to give yourself the best options for different jobs and different positions is really important, and this matters. And I know as a former student and as someone who was in some of your shoes where you work super hard to get this degree and then you get to the end of the road and it doesn't quite go the way you want, or you just want to continue to push forward to find the best pathways possible. And what I find is that so many students spend a lot of time on preparing academically, on learning things, and most are there for a job and a career, but they don't spend a complementary amount of time in terms of preparing for interviews, in terms of how to market themselves, in terms of networking, all these sort of skills that make a huge difference in whether or not you get that ideal opportunity. So today, as well as other times in the future, we're going to have these sort of EDGE-inars to give you an edge, to give you a leg up, to give you some insider insights on how to better position yourselves. And we will have the opportunity for you to ask questions, not directly in this session in terms of the answers coming now, but you can put your questions in the chat. You can also send us an email to info@edgegeospatial.com. That's info@edgegeospatial.com. And we'd be glad to follow up. Some of those questions may result in content for future videos. Some of those questions will just be things that we can possibly respond with some of our social media or maybe directly through an email. So if there's a more direct question that you think is more private, you can send an email and we can respond to your email. If it's something that you think is great publicly for everyone, please by all means use the chat button and also have some conversations and share your comments and thoughts about some of the things I share, as well as future topics that you'd like to see, particularly in this regard. So without further ado, we're going to get into our main message here. And at the end, we're going to share more about EDGE and some upcoming events and different initiatives that we have. So the title of this demonstration, this presentation here, is called Mapping Our Way Across the Digital Divide. We all know that there's a digital divide. There's a big gap in terms of folks from disenfranchised environments and backgrounds and diverse folks in this tech arena, and especially in GIS and geospatial. And that's why EDGE is here to help with that representation, to help companies find the great diverse talent and for diverse talented folks to be able to find the right fit and career paths and opportunities. So we believe that while it's important to learn all the technical information, these soft skills, these leadership skills, these people skills, these marketing skills are equally important in landing those positions. So we can make what seems to be impossible and a big gap turn very possible. And I'm a perfect example. I didn't have a lot of these skills coming up. I developed them, and they constantly gave me more opportunities throughout my career to be in a place now where I own a company and a nonprofit, and I'm here to share my wisdom and insight as best I can with you. So let's go right to the first slide. So I'm going to hit you with 7 principles. These principles are things that I want you to just keep in mind. Everyone will have their own style. Everyone will have their own way of approaching these things, but I think these are principles that you can apply it to your toolkit and just reshape the way you think and evaluate yourself and the marketplace and how to position yourself in the marketplace is going to serve you well. The first principle is that, geography, technology, and most fields in general are all about people. We're so focused on the tech skills and the things that we can do from an expertise standpoint, but we have to remember we're doing these things for people, we're given instructions by people, and at the end of the day, the deliverables that we're creating is to solve problems, for people in general. And so if you keep that in mind, then you got to know that when it comes to interviewing, when it comes to trying to find the right job and position yourself, you're going to be, the gateway it comes through people, right? And so they are knowing that ultimately, whether it's a consulting firm, a government agency, or whatever organization, all of what they do on some level deals with people. So your people skills, your soft skills, your ability to market yourself, present yourself, to be someone that they can relate to be someone that they like personally, makes a big difference. So don't just be so hung up on, all of the things that you can just speak to in terms of your coursework and your expertise. Very important and it's essential, but also sharpen those skills to make sure that you come off and represent well as a person. Look at yourself in the mirror, practice in the mirror, practice with family members, practice with friends, and let them give you feedback on what kind of energy you put out there. Are you smiling a lot? Are you coming off as a pleasant person? Are you coming off as someone who's confident? Are you coming off as someone who, is very secure with the information as well as able to ask the right questions, right? Do you just exude a level of leadership, a level of reliability, a level of just that's something different that people can connect with? Because ultimately, the other thing is people like to hire people that remind them of themselves. So don't be afraid to share some stories. Don't be afraid to share about your interests and to just make yourself relatable. Don't be afraid to do some homework on the person that you're interviewing with and see their interests and find some common places and find some places where you can connect with them person to person. The next tip goes right with this. You have to have the mindset that everyone is in sales. Often when I do presentations, I ask students, who is in sales or marketing? And very few people raise their hand. And really, we should all be raising our hand because we're all in sales, we're all in marketing, we're all having to market ourselves. We have to be our own best clients in terms of presenting our product and presenting who we are. That's done through social media, and we're going to talk some more about that. And part of that is even your personal social media is going to speak to who you are. Companies are savvy now. They track those things down. And sometimes you can have some things that are going to disqualify you because they're going to feel like culturally and value-wise, you don't align with who they are. So you have to assume everything you put out there on social media and the internet, it may never get totally deleted, or definitely others may be looking at it. So think about that. But then definitely on a personal level, you want to be able to market yourself. You want to be able to be a person who can be the best advocate of you possible and exude that confidence and help others to believe in you as you believe in yourself. And just have that mindset that you're not just here to be, a robot doing the work that they have. First, you're here to be a person who can market yourself, because that also translates to other opportunities within the company, because you also have to sell ideas to people. You might be a part of business development with a particular company. You might be a part of different things. And so having that kind of sales lens without coming off, as like a used car salesman or someone who's disingenuous, but someone who can confidently understand what a company is looking for, understand your value proposition and how it meets those needs of the company, understanding what are those things that they are looking for that can differentiate you, and what are those things you know about yourself that can differentiate you, and can then be clearly communicated in a way where people can understand, where it resonates and has impact. The next one, I like to come up with little funny sayings like this. So, need it before you need it, because you need not get need. A lot of needs in there. Same sounding word, but different words, and here's how they all play together. So, when you do these kind of word art things, you get some interesting messages with the word need. When we think about need, we think about baking and bread, and it's a process, right? It's hands-on, and you're working things in, you're massaging things in, you might have to pound some things, you might have to paste some things, there's some dedication. It's just not something that's turnkey. So that's how you have to look at this. This is not something that you just want to kind of throw the Hail Mary out there and never practice, never work on your skills, never think through these things, and then just try to expect to have great results in the end. Some people can do that, very few. And most people who can do that, they've been practicing, they've been doing that for a long time, and they're natural. Most of us have to work towards these sort of skill sets. This is something for me as a person who got a degree in engineering and later on studied a lot of IT. I'm very comfortable in front of people, very comfortable speaking, but that took a lot of time and practice. I had to study abroad, I had to be in uncomfortable positions, I had to work at it. I was part of Toastmasters, I did a lot of different things. I had my failures. I've had people laugh at me when I was doing a public speech before. So when you fail, so to speak, but you survive and you realize, okay, it's all right. You're going to just continue, just keep moving through and get better and better at it. And then that confidence starts to come through and people just connect with you more. And so you're going to need that. It's not an if, it's a when that's going to come up in your career, whether that's now looking at job interviews or that's looking at other opportunities to come up within the company or to help promote the company, whatever it might be, you're going to need it. And so if you don't do it ahead, then you get in those tough situations where you need to have those skills, you need to have that confidence, you need to build that toolkit, and then you screw yourself up because you didn't do your due diligence. So the school, they are there to prepare you academically. Hopefully they did some of these other things, but it's incumbent upon you as a young professional, as an emerging professional, to take initiative, to learn what you need to learn, to build the skill sets, and make sure you're needing that thing before you really need that thing. Next principle. This is all about networking, because networking is one of the most powerful things that we have. We can have all the skill sets in the world, we can have all the expertise, but it will never beat a great network. Just like the other part I mentioned, a network is something that you don't know when you're going to need it, so you need to build it. You need to flower, you need to water it, you need to make sure those flowers are blooming, you need to just have it there, so when the time comes for you to make an extract, you've imparted a lot into your network, into building those relationships. And so networking, again, is something that is very intentional. You have to work the net, and that's both in the tech sense, and you have so many advantages that we didn't have when I was younger in terms of all these tools and social media and people to find people. And the beautiful thing with LinkedIn, we're going to talk a lot about LinkedIn, is you could literally find almost any professional in any industry and get a hold of them and contact them. And it's not bulletproof, but it's a pretty high percentage, especially if you work your network, build some common folks in the network, be in some of the same groups, kind of give them that comfort that you're on the same path and you have some similar things. You can always find people from your university who are willing to talk to you, and you can kind of work from one person to the next person. And so when it really comes down to it, there's no reason why you can't have some level of relationship, some level of awareness of the right people, and the other way around, they can have awareness of you. So long before the opportunities come along, if you have those networks and you build those relationships and you're following the right companies and you're understanding their values and you're chiming in on their social media and you're being present and you're making folks aware of yourself, it can go a long way. And then you can do things like find headhunters, find people whose job it is to find career opportunities for you, and they don't charge you, they charge the company. Those folks are very plentiful on LinkedIn, and even just being connected to them, they're always connected to a lot of industry people and to a lot of jobs. And one of the great things about LinkedIn is you can find more job opportunities with the more connections and the bigger that your network is. And most professionals are very open to connecting with you. It's not something that's very intrusive, it's very easy to do. And most people enjoy helping younger people, people who are trying to make their way, because again, they were there themselves. So work the net through LinkedIn, through your other personal networks, and just constantly be in a frame of mind that you need to make new relationships, you need to build your network, and you don't need to know how you're going to use it. Just know that you will need it and you will use it, and then be intentional about getting the right kind of folks and being within the right networks so that when the time comes, it can be fruitful for you. So the next part, we're talking because EDGE is all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we know that diversity has its opportunities. And if you're connected to EDGE, you're going to be connected to a network of emerging levels of companies and organizations that are looking for diverse talent. So that's a great network to be a part of. But there also are some challenges that come with that, as we know, because there are people in the industry who are kind of used to culturally dealing with certain folks who may look like them, who may come from similar backgrounds. And so part of this whole challenge is getting people to be okay with people who do things a little differently, look a little differently, sound a little differently, have some different ideas, but companies understand to be their best, they need that diversity. Well, what you need to do is help people to be comfortable, because while you are different and you have some different approaches, it can still be conveyed to them that it's a safe thing, that while there are differences, there are a lot of similarities. And here's where understanding a company's values are very important. Here's where understanding who you are as a person can align. Here's how, again, connecting with the interviewer and the people that you're having to deal with in a personal way can help eliminate some of their fears, eliminate some of their natural proclivities to kind of want to hire people or work with people who, you know, are like them and have a similar kind of background. So you need to be intentional on showing them that you are passionate about, you know, diversity and being a part of helping the company to have a more diverse talent pool and thought resource. But you also need to do that in a way that's not pushing it too hard. And like a lot of the individuals on the screen, very impactful, very influential, and they picked their spots and they knew how to do it in a way to be diplomatic. And there is a time to kind of push the edge, but at the point of you're trying to get a job, that's not that time. Now you should do your homework and make sure that you're, you know, looking at a company and they align with you and their values align with you. And that's also one thing we're going to do here at EDGE, is to help companies who really believe in diversity, equity, inclusion stand out, and to make sure that it's known to potential students. But, you know, we will also, you know, give tools for students and potential job seekers to be able to vet companies, to be able to see who's serious about these things. And so it goes both ways, but the opportunity is great when we can push ourselves, when we can stretch ourselves, and when we can gently but surely stretch others to, you know, do things in a different way. And so we're all working together with this, but your job as the prospective hire is to do it in a way that makes people feel comfortable, safe, secure, and in a way that they want to, you know, move forward with you as a candidate. Principle 6. This is a phrase I have that I think, you know, applies in the business development and marketing and sales world, you know, as a consultant, but it really applies for you as well as a job seeker. There are 3 types of folks I like to say in any organization that you always want to know, and you want to make sure that you don't just stick to one group. And there are some people who can hit a couple of these categories, but you want to try to get all 3. You have drivers, you have divers, and you have McGyvers. So let me start with the last one. So some of you are a little bit younger, you might not know a show that was back in the 80s, but then they redid it later on. I think it's on CBS. It's called McGyver. And the whole point was, there was a guy who, a few things about him. The main thing is that he liked helping people. He was always there to help people. He was always there to solve problems. And he might not have had a lot of money. He might not have had all the resources, but he would find a way to take what he had and to connect people to a solution. And so that's a McGyver. So it might not be the person who has the job, but they might have the connection with the person who has the job. It might not be the person who will get you everywhere, but they can prepare you and equip you. So you need to have those McGyvers within those organizations because they could really set you up for success. And sometimes they're the best starting point, so you can kind of get your bearings, learn some things, maybe even make some mistakes, use them as a testing ground and prepare you for the person you really need to impress, which is always at some point going to be a driver. That's a decision maker. That's a person who has the opportunity, who's writing the checks, who's going to make the decisions. You always have to be able to impress those people, connect with those people. And so it's important to know who they are. And even if they're not the person who's interviewing you, as far as the first line, you kind of always want to know at the end of the day who makes the final decisions. And again, through LinkedIn and through other tools, you can connect with all of these folks so that they have some awareness of who you are. You can also make sure that you have some other drivers that are connected with you, that can give you recommendations, that might be connected with these folks. You can work this thing a lot of different ways. And then the last level is the divers. So we're in a tech area, so it's important to know the tech people, because a lot of times, even if they're not the interviewers or they're not the main decision makers, they're going to influence the decision makers. They're going to say, oh yeah, this person really knows what they're doing from a technical standpoint. Oh yeah, I believe in their credibility. And so you have to impress them as well, and you need to know those folks as well. So try to work all those different levels, the drivers, the divers, and the McGyvers to give yourself the best chance for success. Principle 7. So I'm from Illinois, and it's the land of Lincoln. And so, we're talking a lot about LinkedIn, and I think there's some similarities here. Abraham Lincoln was known as a person who was a great communicator and a great collaborator and being able to bring people together. I mean, it had to be a difficult thing at that time in America to bring people with all these different ideas together. And LinkedIn is kind of that same thing. We can find some common thread, common goals, and although we come from all sorts of backgrounds, we can bring our Abraham Lincoln game to make sure that we can be effective. So part of that is don't just pick the same sort of people. You have to connect with people who are not just students or people from your organization or your school. You need to join groups at the professional level. You need to join a lot of different things in LinkedIn. It's one of those things where it's not even just the personal connections. It's following different things, and it gives you more connectivity. And the way that the software works is the more you can be connected to people and have a bigger network, the more people you have access to, the more jobs you have access to. So one of the things you can do if you're not graduating this year, but next year in your summertime, build up your LinkedIn game. Work the network, like connect with a lot of people, connect with a lot of alumni, connect with different people within the industry, connect with people who are headhunters, connect with people who may not directly be a part of the industry, connect with some folks that will help you to have a more polished and well-rounded kind of profile so people can see different aspects of you. Don't be afraid to put things up there that are not just directly related to your career. Things like your volunteer service, things like some of your personal interests, so people have a wide range of understanding who you are. Use it to post your projects so that people can see some tangible deliverables from you. Use it to connect to some other things that you might want people to see. It is a message board. It can speak for you. It can speak volumes for you before you even come to the interview. And what people see is the more time and energy you put into your LinkedIn profile helps them to know you're very serious about your career. You're very serious about networking. And you'd be surprised, you can reach out to people on LinkedIn and just say, hey, I see that you graduated from my school, or hey, I see you're in the industry. Could you give me 10 to 15 minutes of time to just want to ask some questions, learn about how you got to where you were? And you'd be surprised, a lot of people will say yes. And then you want to make sure that people who think highly of you give you recommendations. Have several recommendations. Social proof, professional proof is a real thing. It makes a huge difference when people can see that other people think highly of you. Just work all of the angles that are there. You don't want your LinkedIn profile to be a LinkedIn log where it's just sitting there, where you just did the base level. Some people don't even have their picture up there. Some people just kind of put the bare minimum. And even if you're in your career and you're happy where you are, still keep it up to date, because you never know when someone might come to you and say, hey, they have this opportunity, or you never know when things might change, and you don't want to wait. Again, you don't want to have to need it. You want to need it ahead of needing it. And so these are all things that come into play. And the best thing about it is it's only limited to you and the energy and the input and the time you put into it. Now, I personally have, I think I'm approaching 11,000 contacts. In part, I use my staff to help me to build it, but it comes into play for me on so many different levels. And so if I do a search for a job, I own a company, so I don't really need to, but if I do, I have no matter what the keywords, I'm going to get a lot of different opportunities that come up because I've worked hard to build networks in different places. And so it shows up when you need to, work the network and see what's out there. So can't share enough about this aspect. It can position you very, very well. And I know most young people are big on social media, but they neglect this one. But in this world, the professional world, this is the one. And then the other thing is you can do some posts, show people that you're interested, show people that you can write, show people that even if you're just reposting other articles, just show them that you're engaged in the profession and that you just stand out. And that's the thing you want to do, is be able to use every tool that you can to stand out, to market yourself, to position yourself, and to help others to see that you are that candidate that they cannot do without. So I hope this helped you. We're going to have more information like this. Again, if you have questions, put it in the chat. Send us an email at info@edgegeospatial.com. Tell us what you think of this presentation. Tell us some other things that you want to cover. We certainly have more to offer in this arena, and we're going to have some other people come and speak. But hopefully these are a couple principles that you can put in mind. Be in that sales mindset, be in that marketing mindset, work on things, be intentional, and just put that time in. The 5% of your time that you put in on this side can pay 80 to 90% of difference in your dividends in getting the job. So think about that. Think about how much time you spend in the academic world and studying versus how much time you invest in yourself and in preparing and positioning yourself. So if you don't get anything else from this, hopefully you got that. Hope you can take advantage this summer, and hope that most of you can also get that job that you're looking for, that internship that you're looking for, and set yourself up for success. Thank you, and then stay tuned here in a moment. I want to share some more about EDGE, how you can be connected with EDGE, how EDGE can help you, and some additional events that we have coming up soon.
Hello, everybody. I'm Earl Isabue. I'm one of our EDGE ambassadors here, and I just want to start by thanking our CEO, Andre Searles, about that wonderful little presentation there. He really touched on some very, very important principles, especially for many of you new and emerging professionals. So if you want, take some time, review this, watch that video a couple more times. He's got some really, really key points there. And in dealing with his topics, we want to talk about is activity and that networking outreach. We here at EDGE have put together several events that we'd like to inform you about. So if we go ahead here, we'll just click through here and get to our next slide here. Let's see, where's our next slide? Can we move forward to the next slide here, Mel? Okay, wait, let me see if I can do the side thing. Okay. And hold on a sec. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties here getting the slides up for you. And like Keith was saying, sometimes you do fail and sometimes things don't work out right. That is okay. So share here. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think we're getting it here. All right. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's just pull this up. Let's get it in our full screen mode. All right, these are our summer 2023 EDGE activities and events. Okay, let's go to the first page. The first one that we really want to point out to you is our scholarships here. Let's go ahead and All right, we have 2 existing scholarships that we are giving out. These are both founded by our founder, Andre Searles. And the first one is the Kiana Cleveland Award. And the second one is the Yvette Hernandez Awards. These are 2 people that our founder really felt exemplified the gusto, the go-to-itness, and the spirit of the profession and our efforts in DEI and inclusion in our geospatial world. So these are 2 scholarships. If you will go to the geospatial.com, you can find more information about this. And we do encourage you young professionals, or if you know any young professionals out there, go ahead, because we all know that when taking classes and in school, every dollar does count. And these awards actually represent the values that we wish to impart. So please encourage people to go ahead, check these out, and you'll find out more about them. I know Andre has talked about them in several of our previous videos, so go back, take a look at that. But the big hallmark of everyone's summer in the geospatial field is the Esri UC. So let's click onto that next slide. We at EDGE have several different events going on there. We are actually hosting on the Sunday, that first night of, or Monday, that first night of the Esri UC, we are actually hosting our EDGE Geospatial Networking event. We had a very successful one last year. It is a nice way to just, get your feet wet, to meet some of the people who share similar ideas and beliefs that diversity and inclusion and togetherness in our field is really what drives us and will make our field better. We also have, all throughout the week, we will have a booth there. I think we're scheduled right now for booth 438. So you can stop by and see them. You'll see me. I'll be at that booth quite a bit during the user conference. You can stop by. We're trying to have programs for students and prospective employers to get together, DEI, nonprofit agencies. We do work with some other special interest groups for diversity, minority, and women-owned business networking. And we do want all types of businesses to come there, both diverse and non-diverse business networking. We just want people to come together, talk about these ideas, connect, and find this path for us to all move forward and pushing the bounds of our field. The next activity we do have, let's go ahead and click the next one here. We are affiliated with lots of wonderful, wonderful special interest groups at the Esri UC, or in Esri in general. One of them is the Esri Young Professional Network. For those of you out there just starting out, this is a great group of people to get to know. They have several networking events, or they usually have 1 or 2 big networking events during the UC. It is a great chance to meet people in your situation. People just like you, either just starting out in the field, about to get into the field. You all have similar trials and tribulations, questions, and it's a great opportunity to actually meet lots of mentors there too. We will probably have a presence at most of these events ourselves, so you can see us there. I probably see myself in most of these events myself. Another one is the DE&I Special Interest Group. There is always a morning luncheon for the DE&I Special Interest Group and several other activities throughout the week, so please do that. We also work with the Nonprofit Special Interest Group. There's lots of you out there who are in the inclusion field, not from a corporate standpoint, but from that nonprofit or social justice or social looking organizations. So you want to do that, which leads us to the next one. We have the social justice and equity events with the different Esri departments. Those are a great resource to actually get to know the people in Esri that deal with these particular fields or research areas. It's a great way to get to know the people. If you're trying to find a path forward, these are some awesome people to meet and to get to know, because they can give you those guidances. They can tell you, like, if you're interested in social justice, what types of packages should you be looking at? Where can you better improve your personal brand? So that's another great one. And then one of our EDGE partners, Northstar GIS, they're having a social and a brunch. So they'll have a Sunday brunch that first day. So for those of you that get in there, stop in. It's a great way to ease yourself into the chaos of the week. If you're a young professional and you've never gone there before, it will be an overwhelming experience. There is a lot to do. So coming to some of these special interest group meetings or networking events is a great way to meet that one or two people just to help you feel comfortable. And then that one or two people are going to introduce you to more people than you could possibly remember in a single day. So that is a great one. Let's go on to some of the other activities we have coming up. Let's see, next slide. One that we'll be at is at the UNCF, United Negro College Fund, Unite 2023 conference. That is their summit for Black higher education. But in general, it's for education. It's how can we push the inclusion and the expansion of our field of study or our field of interest in education. How can we actually get more people to study the field, to come into our field? And then there is a GIS summit at Howard University. Dates will be announced later, or we'll have more confirmation on our website in a little bit. And again, those are with our wonderful, wonderful Esri partners, Northstar GIS. So again, as was stated in those 7 principles that Andre talked about earlier, getting out there, becoming an active participant in the field around you. You can be good at your job and you can learn your field and you can be good at the process of it. But as was said in those wonderful principles earlier, you have to sell yourself. You have to make yourself open and accessible to the people out there that can help you and further your career or even your personal goals. If you are a nonprofit-minded person, or you are a goal or a activism-minded person, you have to know people that can help you along that process. So we encourage you to come out to that. And then we have one final thing we'd like to share with you guys. One last thing. Going back to our first thing about scholarships, we did have our first scholarship award ceremony. It was last month in May. We did that down in Tampa, and we had one of our first recipients. And we had wonderful, wonderful partners from other organizations come to join us in there. We had communiques from Esri themselves, AAG, several other organizations came along and supported us in this endeavor. So we are actually, in the spirit of spatial equality, we are going to be hosting another one. It will probably be in the Midwest, in Chicago this time, but it is going to be a scholarship fundraiser and a commingled fundraiser hosting the founder's 50th birthday party. So we can come together, celebrate a good time and a good person, raise money, and give out money to future students. So all these activities, you can find out more. You can go to edgegeospatial.com or just send us an email at info@edgegeospatial.com for more info on that. And we look forward to seeing you at these events. Be sure, if you do come to one of those events, just stop by and say hi and say, hey, we saw your webinar and we decided to stop by. That means you're engaged, and use us as a dry run. That's what you want to do with people out there in the professional field. Like, hi, I saw this project you work on, this thing you presented, something like that. It is a way to get your foot in the door. So thank you for everybody. That's my little part. And I'm Earl Isview, and I hope to see you at some of these wonderful EDGE events later this year. Thank you, everybody. again, thank you for all attending. Have a wonderful day and be sure to visit us at edgegeospatial.com. Thank you.